said that last name wrong, but apologies. I'll go ahead and start reading the back of the book. He says, the United States is at war, and 16-year-old Ned Begay wants to join the cause, especially when he hears that Navajos are being specifically recruited by the Marine Corps. So he claims he's old enough to enlist, breezes his way through boot camp, and suddenly finds himself involved in a top-secret task, one that's exclusively performed by Navajos, and has become a code talker. He has become a code talker. Now Ned must brave some of the heaviest fighting of the war, and with his native Navajo language as code, send crucial messages back and forth to aid in the conflict against Japan. His experiences in the Pacific, from Guadalcanal to Iwo Jima and beyond, will leave him forever changed. Before we read into the chapters, he has a statement. It says, this book is dedicated to those who have always, in proportion to their population, volunteered in the greatest numbers, suffered the most casualties, won the most Purple Hearts and decorations for valor, and served loyally in every war fought by the United States against foreign enemies, from the American Revolution to Afghanistan and Iraq to the American Indian soldier. Chapter 1 is titled Sent Away. I was only 6 years old, and I was worried. I sat behind our hogan, leaning against its familiar walls and looking up toward the mesa. I hoped I would see an eagle, for that would be a good sign. I also hoped I would not hear anyone call my name, for that would be a sign of something else entirely. But the eagle did not appear. Instead, my mother's voice, not much louder than a whisper, broke the silence. Ki Yazai. Come, your uncle is in the wagon. The moment I dreaded had arrived. I stood and looked toward the hills. I could run up there and hide, but I did not do so, for I had always obeyed my mother, whose love for me was as certain as the firmness of the sacred earth beneath my moccasins. However, I did drag my feet as I came out from behind our hogan to see what I knew I would see. There stood my tall, beautiful mother. Her thick black hair was tied up into a bun. She was dressed in her finest clothing, a new silky blue blouse, and a blue pleated skirt decorated with bands of gold ribbons. On her feet were soft calf-high moccasins, and she wore all her silver and turquoise jewelry. Her squash blossom necklace, her bracelets, her concha belt, her earrings. I knew she had adorned herself with all these things for me. She wanted me to have this image. Yeah, this book's water damaged too a little bit. She wanted me to have this image of her to keep in my mind, to be with me when I was far from home. However, the thing I saw most clearly was what she held in her arms. It was a small bundle of my clothes tied in a blanket. My heart sank. I was really going to be sent away. My mother motioned toward the door of our hogan, and I went inside. My great-grandfather was waiting for me on his bed. He was too weak to walk and was so old that he had shrunk in size. He had never been a big man, but now he was almost as small as me. Great-grandfather took my hand in both of his. Be strong, Kiyazi, he rasped, his voice as creaky as an old saddle. I stood up on my toes so that I could put my arms around his neck and then press my cheek against his leathery face. I had always been small for my age. My father used to tease me about it, saying that when I was born, he made me cradleboard out of the handle of a wooden spoon. My baby name was Awiyazi. Little baby. Little I was and little I stayed. I went from being Awiyazi, little baby, to Kiyazi, little boy. You are small, my grandfather said, as if he could hear what I was thinking. But your heart is large. You will do your best. I nodded. When I stepped outside, my mother bent down and embraced me much harder than my grandfather had hugged me. Then she stepped back to stand by the door of our hogan. Travel safely, my son, Mother said. Her voice was so sad.